this is Maria from Crochet A to Z, and welcome to the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please push that subscribe button and also the like button. It does help the algorithms get out there so everyone can find the channel. So I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank everyone for being here, and I hope you're having a great day. So today I want to show you this next block, and this is block number 14. We're moving along. If you haven't started these blocks yet, crochet at your own pace, Afghan, no worries. You can start it because you can do 1 or 2 or 3 of these a day. You can do a lot of them in a week, so you can catch up. This is not a tough project to get in pace with, so please feel free. And these are beginners to advanced, everybody in between and anyone that has not crocheted before. I go slow so you can follow along, you can write it down, and you can join us all in this crochet along this great Afghan. So I had mentioned before too that I wanted to mention, if you only wanted to do a few of these Afghan pieces and only wanted to do a few of these blocks and put together an Afghan, you can do that. You don't have to use all the blocks. Is it a great project to make all the blocks? Absolutely. So let's get started with this great block. And this is, again, block number 14, and this is the cluster block. And it's called that because of all these cluster stitches. And I'm going to show you just how easy this is to make. So why don't we get started with this Afghan? So I'm using, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm using basic stitch yarn by Lion Brand. And this is everything there is to know about the yarn. It's a grass, it's called grass, the color. And again, it's basic stitch. And it is a 4 medium weight yarn. If you're going to make these blocks, if you haven't started yet, use the same yarn weight for all your yarn, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to use the same yarn company. So if you're going to use Lion Brand, use all Lion Brand. Like if you were going to do basic stitch, use all basic stitch. But that is the best way to do this. In an eye hook, and there it is right there. So let's get started, and here is my yarn. So we're going to make a slip knot. Once we make a slip knot, we're going to chain 28. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. This is your working chain. These are your chains. They look like these, and at the very end is your slip knot, not considered a chain. So I'm going to push the camera out a little bit. So what we're going to do is, in the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, and 4, we're going to start our first cluster. So we're going to go in here, we're going to yarn over and go in here. We're going to pull up a loop. We're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through 2. There are 2 of these remaining, 2 loops. We're going to yarn over. We're going to go in to this chain. We're going to pull up a loop. Now we have 4 loops on our crochet hook. We're going to yarn over, we're going to pull through 2, and then we have 3 loops. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. This chain is going to count as a double crochet. So you have 2 double crochets and that chain. So now what we're going to do is we're going to skip 1, 2 stitches. Once we skip 2 stitches, we're going to go into this other one. We're going to yarn over and we're going to go into that chain. We're going to pull up a loop. We're going to yarn over. We're going to pull through 2. We have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over. We're going to go right into there again to that same spot, and we're going to pull up a loop. We have 4 on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, have 3 loops. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So once we do that, and we did do that, we're going to chain 1. Once you've made your 2, this is half of your cluster, and you chained 1, you're going to yarn over again, and you're going to go back into that same place, and you're going to pull up a loop. You're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through 2. After you do that, you're going to yarn over, go into this spot again and pull up a loop. You have 4 on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through 2. You have 3 loops. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So now what are we going to do? We're going to skip, skip, and I want to show you what it looks like right there. So that's what it looks like when you've done that. So now we're going to continue across. So we're going to skip, skip, and in this next, we're going to yarn over, skip, skip, and in that 3rd chain, we're going to go right in and pull up a loop. You have 3 on your hook. You're going to yarn over, you're going to pull through 2. You're going to yarn over, you're going to go back into there, and you're going to pull up a loop. Now let me show you. You have 1 already there. You're going to go into that same spot, and you're going to pull up that loop. You have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, you're going to pull through 2. Now you have 3. You're going to yarn over and pull through 3. Sorry. Now you're going to chain 1. After you chain 1, you're going to go into this same spot again where you did half of your cluster. So you're going to yarn over, go right in there again, pull up a loop. You have 3 on your hook. You're going to yarn over right there, pull through 2. You're going to yarn over, go into that again, pull up a loop. You have 4 on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. And we're going to do this right across. Skip, skip, 1, 2, and the 3rd one again. And we're going to continue this right across until we have all of them. So you're going to do, your cluster is gonna, you're going to just keep making your clusters right across. 4 on your hook. You're going to go through 2. You're going to go through 3. Skip, skip, and we're going to make another cluster. Chain 1. Skip, skip. You're going to make another cluster. Chain 1. Go back in there again. Make the second half of your cluster. Now we're going to continue to do skip, skip, and we're going to do our cluster. Chain 1. Do another cluster in that same spot, because you want to do, it's like you're doing a double cluster to make your full cluster. Now at the very end you should have 1, 2, and 3 chains left. You're going to skip 2 chains, 1 and 2, and in this last spot you're only going to put a half a cluster. So you're going to make your cluster. That's your half cluster right there. You're not making this full one. You're going to make 1/2 cluster, and then you're going to do a double crochet at the very end. And this will mimic the other side, because here's your half cluster with your half right there, and that chain is a double crochet. So that's what that is. And that is your first row of this cluster. So now what you're going to do right here, we did this row. We're going to chain 1, chain 2, and chain 3. And we're going to turn our work. Now this is going to end up being a 2-row repeat. So what's going to happen is you're going to do over and over again, you're going to do a 2-row repeat. You're going to be doing rows 2 and 3 over and over again. So this is row 1. So starting with row 2, you'll be doing this over and over again until you are finished. Now you made your first, this is your double crochet. You're going to make a cluster in this first space, and you're going to make, so here we go, you're going to go in between these two. So we're going to make our cluster. This is considered a double crochet. So we're going to go in here. We're not going to go in the chain. We're going to go under it, or should I say under the stitch. And here's our first side of the double cluster, if you want to call it that. Chain 1 and make another cluster to finish off your double cluster. So there's 1, and there's your chain, that's your double crochet at the end. Now you're going to go in between these two from below, and you're going to do the same thing. Again, this is a 2-row repeat, and this will be your repeat starting row. So you're going to do a 2-row repeat, row 2 and 3, and you're going to need 15 total rows. So again, 2 clusters here, we're going in between the space. This is such a pretty stitch and a pretty square. And here's what we're doing. So now we're going to go into the next space and make our next cluster. And we're going to finish off our cluster in this space. Going to go across into the next space. Into the next one. It's another spot. Going to finish off our cluster. We're going to make our last cluster right here. I want to show you what this looks like. So now there's a double crochet here. It's a chain 3, but that's a double crochet. So at the very end here in this chain space right here, in the chain itself, you're going to put a double crochet. And there's what it looks like. I'm going to pull it so that you can see what it looks like. Isn't that pretty? So that's what it looks like. So again, this is row 2, and this is going to be your repeat, row 2, and now we're going to do row 3. So in row 3, we're going to chain 1, chain 2, and chain 3. We're going to turn our work around. Not in here, but in here, you're going to make a cluster. So this is row 3 of your 2-row repeat of row 2 and 3. You're going to go in here and you're going to make a cluster. Not a full cluster, not the 2 parts, just that. Now I want to say something else to you. 2 row repeat, row 2 and 3, but you're always going to know what row you're in. And what's going to give it away is this and this. When you see a single crochet at the beginning, when you see a double crochet at the beginning and the end of this, you're going to know that you're in row 2. When you see a chain 3 and half a cluster, you're going to know that you're in row 3. Row 2, row 3. That's what's going to give it away. So if you come on here and you say, oh, what row am I going to, because you're going and going, you'll know because this was row 2, it has the chain 3. This is row 3 because it has the small cluster in the beginning. So once you do that, you're going to make your clusters, full clusters, right in those spaces. This is such a pretty, pretty stitch. So again, you're going to go into this space between these 2 clusters from row 2. You're going to yarn over, go in there, underneath, not in the chain. You're going to pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go back in, pull up, yarn over. You have 4, you're going to pull through 2. You have 3, you're going to pull through all 3. You're going to chain 1. You're going to go back in there and make the other side of that. We're going to go into the next one. So again, I want to show you, you made this cluster. You're going to jump over this one and go into this space in between 2 clusters. Again, jump this cluster, go into this, in between 2. Once you make your 2 together, you're going to chain 1 and then do 2 more in that same spot to finish off your cluster. In here. Now, I want to show you, we're getting to the end and you have the chain 3 and this cluster. As we did at this end, we're going to do the same here. We're going to make a cluster, half a cluster, not a full one. And then in this chain, we're going to put a double crochet. And there it is. So again, we did row 1, row 2, and row 3. Row 2 and 3 are going to be repeated over and over again. So, and you're always going to know what your row you are on by what's at the beginning of the row from below. So when you look at the row from below and you see that double crochet in the beginning, it's a chain 3, but it's a double crochet, you know that the next row is going to be a double crochet in half of your cluster. So you know that your next row is going to be row 2, which is just a double crochet. So you would chain 1, chain 2, and chain 3, and you would turn your work around. You know that when you look at this, you're not going to go in here because you've already got a chain 3, and that's your double crochet. So you're going to start working in these spots right here. In all of these spots, you're going to go in and make your clusters. And then at the very end, you're going to know that you're going to just put a double crochet here. Then once you do that, and I'm going to show you. So you would put a cluster here, a full cluster. And that's your row 2 of your 2-row repeat. So you know that if you turn this around and you will finish this row and you're here, here's your double crochet. That means this next row is got to start with your cluster, your half cluster. So you'll know that every time you do, all you have to do is look at it and you'll know what you've got to do. It'll be, your eye will bring you to your next row. The way you just will know. It's a really easy, it looks really difficult and it really is not. Once you learn how to do the clusters, and you can practice them if you've never done one before. And if you want, I will do a separate video on just making the clusters if that would be helpful. So if you want me to do that, let me know and I will be happy to do that. I might do it anyway, actually. So I'm just going to go right across. I just don't want to leave you off not. And make notes. And we're going across. Okay, so at the end, you're going to make your last cluster. This is row 2 of your, now let me remind you, and let's look at this. This is row 2 of your 2-row repeat. Now you know that right down here is a half a cluster. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. So I'm not even going to show you the other end, the beginning end of this. Chain 1 and then make the other half of your cluster. Now you know, because this is row 2 of your 2-row repeat, so you're going to go right in this chain 3 and you're going to make a double crochet. You know that right off the bat, because below there is a half a cluster. So let me bring you back here. See where your double crochet is? Your chain 3 is your double crochet. So now again, you're going to chain 1, chain 2, and chain 3. You're going to know, because you have a chain 3 here and it equals a double crochet, you're going to go right in here and make your half cluster. Not a full one, a half one. And there it is. And now you know you've got to work in these spaces right across. And that's how you make this cluster square. So what's going to happen again is you're going to do this over and over again, row 2 and 3, until you have 15 rows. Once you have 15 rows of this and you make your full square, you're going to do the same thing we do for all the squares. And I have square number, block number 1, part 2 shows you that you have to do, in each corner, you have to do 3 single crochets in each corner, all 4 corners, and right across you do 25 single crochets on each side. So each side is 25 single crochets, and each corner is 3 single crochets. And you will do this with every square that you make. Every square will do this. So if you see this square, it has the 3 single crochets, the 25, and the 3 single crochets in each corner. And all of them will have that same one, the same thing in all of them. And you'll see that in block number 1, part 2 will show you how to do that. Again, 3 single crochets in each of the 4 corners and 25 up all 4 of the sides. And you're done with your block. And that'll be, and then you can work the next block and the next block. So this is Maria from Crochet A to Z. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial of the cluster square or the cluster block from At Your Own Pace Afghan. And this is, again, block number 14. I hope you liked this tutorial. Thank you. Have a great day and love you all. Bye-bye.